Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we sift through the densest source material so you can be instantly, thoroughly, and surprisingly well informed. Today, we are taking a deep dive into the revolution that's already reshaping our careers, our economy, and frankly, our daily lives. Artificial intelligence. And this isn't about, generalized predictions. We went straight to the heavyweights. We've got a stack of sources spanning hard economic reports from the National Bureau of Economic Research, fresh workforce data from PwC, and some deep academic analysis from USC and the Cambridge Judge Business School. So our mission really is to dissect the true immediate cost and the long-term benefits of this whole AI revolution. Because what our sources are revealing is, well, it's the tech boom's bitter pill. We're seeing absolutely unprecedented productivity gains. But those gains are arriving hand in hand with this rapid widening chasm in economic well-being. We're here to uncover how AI is fundamentally changing the definition of work, value, and critically decision-making for you.
What's truly fascinating here is that this isn't some theoretical warning for the future. It's not 10 years from now. We are observing the consequences of this shift right now. The NBER study, just looking ahead to 2025 growth, is already sounding the alarm. It's saying that, yes, AI is fundamentally boosting overall GDP, making companies hugely efficient. But that newfound wealth, it's overwhelmingly favoring capital owners. The shareholders, the owners of the IP over the average worker. It's a foundational economic restructuring, and it's playing out in real time. It really demands our attention.
Okay, that tension, unprecedented growth versus accelerating inequality, that feels like the perfect place to start. So if the economic pie is getting bigger thanks to AI, where exactly does the NBER study locate this disparity? What's the mechanism here?
It all comes down to something economists call the labor income share.
The labor income share.
Exactly. It's the slice of all non-farm business income that flows directly into workers' pockets. Wages, salaries, benefits. And historically, in the decades after World War II, that share was really consistent. It hovered around 63 to 65%. But then, starting around the 2010s, we saw this noticeable structural drop. It pushed it down to 56, 58%.
That drop seems significant, but maybe help us understand the weight of that. What does that, 7 to 9 percentage point decline actually mean for an average household?
It means that the value that human labor creates is being captured by something other than their wage. So if a business triples its revenue, historically a big chunk of that will go to hiring more people or, increasing pay for existing workers.
Yeah.
But now with AI and automation, that new revenue is captured by the algorithms, the software, the machines, the capital.
And so it flows to the capital owners.
Precisely. And the NBER research confirms this isn't just continuing, it's accelerating, right, in parallel with the adoption of AI. It's a fundamental breakdown in how value gets distributed.
Wow. Let's contrast that, because it sounds pretty grim, with the corporate reality. The productivity spike we're seeing, according to the PwC sources, it's massive.
Oh, absolutely. The efficiency gains are stunning, undeniable. Just look at the data. Industries most exposed to AI, think software, finance, high-tech manufacturing, have seen the revenue generated by each employee climb 3 times higher compared to less exposed industries.
3 times higher.
And if we zero in on the period just since 2022, when, ChatGPT and large language models became household names, productivity growth in these exposed industries has nearly quadrupled. The technology is working exactly as advertised. It creates spectacular value.
Wait, let's stop on that contradiction for a moment. If PwC says productivity has nearly quadrupled since 2022 in these sectors, but the NBER data shows the labor share is accelerating its decline, how do those two things happen at the same time?
That is precisely the tension. The systems are designed to maximize output with minimized reliance on more human intervention. Think about it. A single data scientist using sophisticated AI tools can now generate the output of what it took 3 or 4 data scientists to do 5 years ago.
Okay, so that increased output flows straight to the company's bottom line.
Straight to the bottom line, rewarding the capital structure, not necessarily the labor pool as a whole. The human's job becomes more valuable, yes, but the number of jobs required, or the share of wealth going to labor overall, shrinks.
And if we connect that widening gap back to the macro picture, the NBER study issues a pretty serious warning about the social fallout. What's the worst-case scenario here if we just continue down this path without any kind of intervention?
They project significant economic instability and, potential social unrest. They're basically saying policymakers have to intervene. If nothing changes, no serious strategies for public R&D, no robust retraining programs to handle job displacement, the paper project's income inequality could rise by a substantial 5 to 10 points over the next decade.
And that's measured using the Gini coefficient, right? Can you just clarify that for us?
Right, the Gini coefficient. Think of it as the standard way the world measures income inequality. It's a score from 0 to 100. 0 means perfect equality. Everyone earns the exact same amount.
And 100.
100 means one person has everything, everyone else has nothing. So a rapid 5 to 10-point rise, that represents a massive, really destabilizing shift in wealth for a modern economy. This is why balancing innovation with equity is so crucial. The stability of society really rests on it.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If AI is driving all this growth, this incredible productivity, and it can handle tasks that we once thought were complex, what are humans still needed for? What's the fundamental dividing line between AI and HI, human intelligence?
The line really comes down to the nature of the intelligence itself. AI is fundamentally simulative. It operates purely on algorithms, vast data sets, and statistical probabilities. It excels at speed, pattern recognition, repetitive tasks.
So things like fraud detection.
Exactly. Spotting fraud in trillions of transactions or executing algorithmic trading in a fraction of a second. Its decision-making is objective, data-driven, and incredibly fast.
And what about us? What defines our intelligence?
Human intelligence is adaptive. We integrate messy things like creativity, emotions, intuition, complex moral reasoning. Humans learn dynamically from one unique experience to the next, and we're guided by, conscience and empathy. Our decision-making is subjective and contextual.
And we can apply knowledge to situations that have never existed before.
That's the key, something that you can't measure in a structured data set.
That makes perfect sense. We saw some research from USC Viterbi on this, specifically on one of AI's biggest hurdles: common sense. If these models have read the entire internet, what would they actually do on basic real-world reasoning?
Well, superficially, they do extremely well. LLMs show high performance on standard Q&A tests because they're exceptional pattern repeaters. They've essentially memorized the answers. But the USC researchers found a critical failure when they tested the model's ability to generalize.
To generalize.
Right. So, for instance, if a model was fine-tuned on knowledge about physical realities, like gravity or momentum, it struggled significantly when asked to apply that knowledge to social realities, like understanding emotional cause and effect.
So the model isn't learning how to reason, it's just getting really good at pattern repetition within defined boundaries.
Exactly. It lacks that essential human capability to take knowledge from one domain and apply it robustly to a genuinely new situation. And this is where you hit what they call the overconfidence risk, which frankly is a serious threat in high-stakes fields.
Tell us a bit more about that overconfidence risk, especially in something like, say, healthcare.
It happens when the model is forced to make a choice, even when the data is ambiguous or incomplete. So researchers purposefully altered Q&A tests so that none of the answers were correct.
Okay.
A human physician faced with a truly ambiguous case will say, I don't know, we need more tests. A good AI system should abstain or register zero confidence. Yet the sources show these models still indicated a clear preference for one of the incorrect choices.
And in a healthcare chatbot, that could be actively harmful.
It could be. If the system doesn't have the capacity to recognize the limits of its own knowledge, human judgment is the required safety valve here.
So AI lacks that critical judgment, that common sense for nuanced decisions. But if we can rely on humans for that, does the data suggest that AI is simply freeing us up to focus only on those high-value, judgment-heavy tasks?
It absolutely does. And this brings us to the optimistic side of the research. Despite the macroeconomic warnings, the data from PwC suggests AI isn't primarily a job cutter. It is a profound augmenter. The focus really has to shift from displacement fear to augmentation potential.
Right, and that's where this gets really interesting. How is this augmentation playing out in the actual job market?
Well, look at the numbers. Job numbers, and critically, wages are growing in virtually every AI-exposed occupation.
And even the ones we thought were most at risk.
Even the most highly automatable jobs. Think of customer service agents. The AI now handles the simple queries, the boilerplate stuff. The human's role shifts entirely to complex problem-solving, strategic communications, using the AI tool as an assistant to handle 5 times the workload. The job's scope increases, which makes the human worker more valuable.
And the most compelling evidence of that increased value has to be the wage premium. What's the latest number we're seeing on that?
The number is staggering, and it really defines the economic separation we talked about earlier. workers with AI skills, and that often means something like prompt engineering, just the ability to effectively communicate with the AI, are commanding an average wage premium of 56%.
56%. Let's just zero in on that. If I'm a technical writer making, say, $80,000 a year, adding these skills could jump my income potential, well, drastically.
Precisely. And that 56% premium is up substantially from just 25% last year. It shows the scarcity and the immediate demand for these skills. And critically, this premium is being paid across every single industry they analyzed: tech, finance, education, manufacturing. It confirms these skills are directly translating to enormous value for employers.
This high demand must be driving what the sources called the skills earthquake. The pressure to adapt has to be immense.
It's a sink or swim moment for a lot of workers. The skills employers are looking for are changing 66% faster in AI-exposed jobs versus those least exposed,
So the paralegal example again. The job shifts from tedious document review
which AI handles flawlessly.
for its critical thinking, legal strategy, and actually operating the AI tools. The job is richer, more strategic, but the skill set is completely different.
And it demands continuous learning.
But let's pause on one core human strength: creativity. We often assume AI can handle everything, but the Cambridge Judge research suggested something different, that AI hits a wall with sustained creative thinking.
That's a crucial nuance. It really defines the limit of augmentation. AI is phenomenal for rapid idea generation. Think of it as a brainstorming partner that gives you 100 variations of an idea in 5 minutes.
Well,
But the study found that human AI co-created ideas often plateau creatively. They fail to refine and evolve over time in that deep, subjective, meaningful way that human-only teams can.
why does that plateau happen?
Because AI lacks context, subjective experience, and really the diversity response you need for sustained creative development. To use an analogy, AI gives you the 100 ideas, but you need the human team to spend a month refining the best one, evolving its meaning based on taste, culture, human context. AI just can't drive that long-term subjective evolution, which brings us squarely to the blueprint for effective human-AI collaboration. The goal must be integration, not replacement. Organizations need specific operational models to define how people and machines interact.
We saw several specific models outlined. The first one, human in the loop, seems designed for those complex ethical decisions we just talked about.
Exactly. Human in the loop, or HITL, means direct human judgment is baked into the AI's decision process before it acts. This is essential when safety or ethics are high, like content moderation. Then you have human on the loop, HOTL. That's more like supervisory monitoring. The human is a safety net. The system runs on its own, but flags an issue if it needs help.
Like in automated factories.
Right. And then there's the final layer, essential in fields like medicine or defense.
Human in command.
That's the one. Here, people retain the ultimate authority, veto power. The AI might provide deep diagnostic info, but the human expert makes the final call based on their subjective knowledge and ethical responsibility.
Okay, that covers the supervisory roles. What about the really cutting-edge stuff, like the agentic AI we hear about? How does that fit in?
Agentic AI involves highly autonomous systems that can plan and act on their own to achieve a goal. For the human worker, they act as an exponential multiplier.
A multiplier, like a hyper-effective assistant.
That's a great way to put it. The human focuses on strategy and goal setting. Increase market share by 5%. The agentic AI then plans and executes the 50 steps needed to do that, and only alerts the human if a strategic pivot is required.
For any of these models to work, though, and for the global economy to unlock that potential, that 15% GDP increased trust has to be a central factor.
It is absolutely critical, and trust is built through transparency. This is where explainable AI, or XAI, comes in. Users have to understand how the AI got to its conclusion.
So XAI isn't just showing the result, it's showing the why, like showing your work on a math problem.
Precisely. If an AI flags a customer for fraud, the human needs to see the weight the AI gave to 15 different data points to justify it, and the modeling on this shows a huge chasm. If AI earns our trust, its impact on global GDP could be up to 15%. If trust fails, that benefit could drop to as low as 1%. Transparency fuels adoption.
So, knowing all of this, the economic divide, the need for judgment, the demand for adaptation, what are the must-have skills for workers? It sounds like a mix of technical ability and uniquely human judgment.
You've hit the nail on the head. Workers need continuous learning, high adaptability. They have to have prompt engineering skills, the technical ability to command the machine. But they also need robust ethical judgment, knowing precisely when human empathy is required and when to just let the machine run fast, plus strategic thinking and a strong understanding of data quality.
So, what does this all mean? We started with this bitter pill of widening inequality, but we've ended on a more optimistic note of augmentation and collaborative intelligence.
The path forward seems pretty clear. Success requires a conscious decision to combine machine capabilities, speed, data processing, with uniquely human knowledge like ethics, creativity, and common sense. The goal is to create value that neither machine nor human could ever achieve alone. And that rise in job numbers, that massive 56% wage premium, it strongly indicates the human side of this equation is becoming more valuable, not less, provided we choose to adapt.
That data point, the 56% wage premium, is the ghost in the machine here. It's driving this economic separation and fueling the concerns raised by the NBER. So if policymakers are looking for ways to ensure inclusive prosperity, this raises an important question for you to mull over. How should public investment in R&D and education be structured to spread that 56% wage premium beyond just the highly technical early adopters? What specific universally taught AI skills like prompt engineering, strategic thinking, ethical judgment should be integrated into our education systems now to prevent this growth from benefiting only the top 1%?
A question well worth pondering. The distribution of knowledge is going to determine the distribution of wealth in this new era.
Thank you for joining us for the deep dive. We'll be back soon with more insights from the cutting edge of research.